He knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another.
Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Supervillians Explored, and today we're going to be taking a look at one of the main adversaries of Wonder Woman, and that is, of course, the Greek and ancient sorceress Circe, who is very heavily based on the character of the same name from the epic Greek adventure tale, the Odyssey. Now, that being said, when Circe was first introduced into DC Comics during the Golden Age, I believe it was, she was very heavily based on the character of the same name from the Odyssey, and that in the original version of the Odyssey, Circe was an ages-old immortal enchantress who turned men into animals. Now, they kept true to this concept in her comic book incarnation, but they changed it around a little bit. Originally, in the Silver Age version, mind you, Circe was an ancient Greek princess who fell in love with an immortal man named Ogar. Now, Ogar gave Circe the original... He gave Circe the ability of the powers of immortality, but unfortunately, one thing that he did not give her was eternal youth. So throughout all the hundreds of years, Circe would age horribly, and she would become extremely hideous because of her aging. So she creates a potion called Vitae that she uses to keep herself eternally young and beautiful. And she does all this living on a Greek island called Aya. I believe I'm saying that right. I hope I am. And she basically becomes a very notorious enemy of Wonder Woman, battling her a few times before Queen Hippolyta actually condemns her to an island in outer space. However, she returns to cause a whole lot more mayhem and mischief throughout the years of DC. She would actually have a few battles with Billy Batson, aka Captain Marvel, and there would be one time where she would be involved with Superman, and there was a little bitty miniseries where Superman thought that she was actually a Kryptonian, but I won't get into that. I'm basically keeping her pre-crisis history relatively brief because I don't think the character became really interesting until her post-crisis version. Circe presumably was killed in the Crisis on Infinite Earths event, but then she was reimagined in the modern New Earth continuity by George Perez, and this is the version that I love the most. That's basically Circe's pre-crisis origins in a nutshell. Now, the post-crisis version of Circe, her beginnings basically she basically starts out as a mortal princess of the Greek city of Colchis. However, because of all of her blasphemies and all of her deceptions and all of her promiscuity, she's kicked out of Colchis, and she exiles herself to the Greek island of Aya. There, she starts to develop magics of witchcraft. It's not until then that she actually meets the Greek goddess Hecate, when Circe meets Hecate, she sort of forms a bond with her, and Hecate, who is actually the most disgraced out of all the Greek gods, seeks revenge against the Greek gods because she's sort of considered a freak, because she's the daughter of two titans, Hyperion and Perses. So Hecate makes a deal with Circe that Circe can become immortally, she can become all-powerful and forever young and beautiful if she sells her soul to Hecate and allows Hecate to completely possess her body. Circe agrees with this almost instantaneously, and she reads a prophecy and a spell that forever bonds her soul with that of Hecate's. So Circe uses her newfound power to pretty much destroy the city of Colchis, and since she was completely she had an immense amount of influence, and she even commanded the creatures known as the Sirens to lure adventurers and seafarers to her island, one of these seafarers being the Greek hero Odysseus, with whom Circe would actually marry and have 3 kids, but that's a story for later. One very interesting thing about Circe is that she's sort of the reason why the Amazons hate men so much. She uses the power and influence of Hecate to pretty much deceive the Amazons eternally, because when the Amazons were born, they were defeated by Hercules, who basically made them hate men, and thus they attacked the city of Athens. However, the Greek hero Theseus was able to calm them down and convince them that, hey, not all men are bad. So he manages to establish a truce and a peace between the men and women of Greece, and even so much that Theseus ends up marrying the leader of the Amazons, Antiope. Circe hypnotizes Theseus' former wife, whose name I can't remember right now, but she uses the woman to murder Antiope in her sleep, and she frames Theseus for the murder, and that's what causes the Amazons to forever carry an immense animosity towards men. So, in a sense, Circe is pretty much the main reason why the Amazons live in complete and why they live in solitude, and why they live reclusively away from the world of men, and why they hate men so much. She's the reason why the Amazons hate men, and in my opinion, if that doesn't get you a place if that doesn't earn you some ire from Wonder Woman, then nothing will. When Wonder Woman first appeared in the world, Circe was actually very much disturbed by Diana's debut in the world of men, and she was very much enraged by Diana's message of peace. But one thing that she also noticed is that back when Hecate bonded her soul with that of Circe, she basically made this prophecy that there would be a couple of different witches that would help to fulfill Hecate's dream of completely destroying the world and the Greek gods. And Circe thought that since the Amazon champion's name was Diana, which was also the name of another Greek moon goddess, she thought that Diana was actually the second witch and the second sort of disciple of Hecate. So she decided that she would kidnap Diana and try to revert her back into her original clay form that she was born from. She would have succeeded too if Hermes hadn't intervened to stop her, and Hermes managed to rescue Diana from Hecate's grasp. This was basically the sort of relationship that Diana and Circe would have in the modern day DC Comics. That Circe believed that she would want to use Diana as a tool to sort of resurrect Hecate and bring about and fulfill her prophecy. Eventually, during an immense, epic DC Comics crossover event called the War of the Gods, Circe would plan to destroy the spirit of the earth, Gaia, and she would plan to do this by attempting to destroy the Amazons forever, and then to carry out her plan, she would need to invoke some chaos between the Greek and Roman gods. So, she kidnaps Wonder Woman and she arranges for a lot of conflict between the Greek gods, mainly an immense war between her Greek patrons and the Roman gods, whose champion was personified as none other than Captain Marvel, harkening back to the old hatreds of the Silver Age that Circe and Billy Batson had. That doesn't really stop Circe, though. That really doesn't help Circe out that much, though, since Black Adam recruits the Suicide Squad to attack her fortress. Circe eventually plans an escape route to Themyscira, and she does succeed in killing Diana by dissolving her back into the clay mass that she was born from. But then, when that happens, Olympus actually materializes right next to the Earth, and it pretty much threatens to destroy all life on Earth and maybe perhaps the universe itself. So all of the superheroes of the Earth convince the Greek and Roman gods to quit fighting and to side with them against Circe to prevent her from doing so. So all of the Greek and Roman gods band together to bring Wonder Woman back to life, as well as completely freeing Captain Marvel from his bonds to the Roman gods and allowing him to finally become an independent fighter. The final battle pretty much sacrifices the lives of two Greek gods, Hermes and Eris, and eventually Circe herself is seemingly killed in the fight. But that doesn't actually happen, since she is brought back. She seemingly comes back to life in the 1 year later storyline. But that's all I'm really going to talk about. Overall, I think Circe is a great villain. I find her to be somewhat underrated when compared to other Wonder Woman villains, such as the Cheetah or Ares or anything like that. But seriously, as a DC villain in period, I think she's a great character. I think she's a great villain, and I think she also serves to be a great antithesis to Diana, personally. Alright, well that does it for today's Supervillains Explored video, people. I hope you all enjoyed it. Have a nice day.